Hi, I'm Chutoy, from Hippie Crim. Let's get inside before the neighbor dog sees me. Before we get started, you'll need an F1 Ultra, the latest version of XCS, a brass coin, your depth map image file and a black dry erase marker. For post-processing, you'll also need Q-tips, a wire brush, brass black, paper towels, and superfine steel wool. Before you get started, you'll need to measure your coin to know the correct size. Once you have that size, you can open XCS and set your processing type to embossment. You can then create a circle to the desired size by holding the Shift key and dragging your cursor diagonally. The size that works best for my coin is 37.03. So I will set my width on the coin to that size. And, since my width and height are locked, as soon as I press Tab, the height will change to match the width. With your circle selected, let's click on the Alignment tool and set the circle to align center. From here, we will change the processing type to engrave on the right-hand side. With your processing type set to engrave, we can now change our laser type to fiber IR. The power will be 100, the speed will be 8000, the LPC will be 300, and the frequency will need to be set to 60. You may notice that I do not have the camera view in the background. This is because I will be showing you a cheat code for framing your coin and getting it right with the smallest of tolerances. Now the fun begins. Let's click that framing button. Here you will notice that I blacked out the top of the coin with a dry erase marker. This will allow you to run a quick cleaning pass to ensure that you are perfectly aligned before beginning your embossing. Let's eye this up and run a quick cleaning pass to see where we are at. With your lid down, it's now time to press your start button. Normally I would just slightly adjust where the coin is sitting to correct any alignment issues, but I wanted to show you what to look for. Here you'll notice where the cleaning pass left a wider band on one side than the other. If you notice this, you can just nudge the coin ever so gently until you are properly centered. Now that we have our coin centered, let's dive back into XCS. Currently we only have our engraved circle on our canvas. Let's grab our depth map image and drop it into the workspace as well. We already know the size of our engraving and have it all aligned. So we need to ensure that our depth map is the same size and location as our original circle. To do this, we can start by moving the depth map image to the side. Select the original circle and copy the width, mine was 37.03, and paste that to the width of the depth map and click Tab. Now that we have both objects set to the correct size, we need to ensure that only the depth map will engrave during the next process. Select your original circle and then turn off the output slider. With your depth map being the only active object on your canvas, you will want to select it, then click the Alignment tab on the top and click Align Center. With your depth map selected, we can begin selecting the settings for embossing. First we will change the laser type to fiber IR. Let's set the power to 100. The speed to 650. The lines per centimeter to 280. Next we will leave the engraving angle at 15 and the frequency at 30. This next part may be different for different machines, different materials, and different settings. But what I've found works best with minimal time being added for physical movement is a descent at z-axis of 0.01 for every 15 layers while working with brass. Now that we have our settings in place, let's take a moment to check out the objects on our canvas again. By clicking any blank space on the canvas, you can see that the original circle is set to ignore, leaving only the depth map active. We are now ready to go to process. Total time for this coin with these settings is 3 hours 36 minutes and 54 seconds. There are a few things that can be done to shave off time on these, such as file changes, settings changes, and even removing the Z-axis descent. But that's for another video. Let's send the file over by clicking Start. Now that the file has been sent to the F1 Ultra, you can close your lid and press the Start button. This portion of the video is a hyperlapse that has been sped up quite a bit to save time. Please remember that it's not advised to leave your laser unattended while working. While we wait, did you know that this coin file was created with xTool's very own software inside XCS? AImake, formerly Artimind, is a generative AI within xTool creative space software that transforms your words into laser-ready designs. Now that the embossing is finished, let's jump back to XCS and set up a few cleaning passes. On the right-hand side, select the Emboss object and slide the image output to Off. You will now select the Engrave object and change the image output to On. Now that you have your file set to run a cleaning pass, click Go to Process. Here we can click Start to send the file to the F1 Ultra. With the file now sent, let's go ahead and lower the lid and press the Start button one last time. If your first pass wasn't enough, you can always double tap your Start button and run a second cleaning pass. Here's where the post-processing begins. You can use a regular wire brush, but I do tend to prefer a Dremel or other rotary tool to speed the process up. I have used both stainless steel brushes as well as brass ones. I really do prefer the stainless as they don't break off as easy as the brass. Do keep in mind that you are just polishing it up and cleaning it a bit. You don't want to grind off all your amazing details. Or your fingernails. Not going to lie, that was a bad day. Be sure to get around all the edges and into the deep spots as you will want those clean for the next step. Normally I hold the coin in my hand so that I have better control over what I'm doing. This way allows me to show you a better view, but it feels and looks a little clumsy. I may or may not have accidentally shot the coin across my workbench here in a few seconds. After my little mishap, I cleaned the rest of the coin off. This is what it should look like. The details can be seen and the depth is pretty decent, but I think we can make it look even better. Now that your coin is all cleaned up, you are ready to start applying the brass black to give your coin an antique look. Using a Q-tip, apply the liquid in liberal amounts to the engraved side of the coin. Be sure to rub it around as there may be bubbles in some of the deeper engraved areas. Keep in mind that brass black is toxic if ingested and may cause irritation to some people's skin. You may wish to wear gloves or other personal protective equipment. You can add as little or as much of the brass black as you like, to achieve an antique effect that best suits your liking. But don't worry about getting it 100% as you can always add a little more or even polish some of it off. Here I'm adding more brass black to the areas that I want to intensify the darkness, around the trees as well as the house. Once I feel like I've got it where I want it, I can let it sit a little bit before getting ready for the next step. Now that the brass black has sat for a bit, you will want to grab a paper towel and blot any remaining liquid off the face of the coin. You may need to use a few pieces depending on how much brass black you have on your coin and how deep the engraving is. Just keep blotting it off until the paper towel comes away clean. Once you have removed all the brass black from the coin, you can give it a good inspection to ensure that you don't have any areas that were missed. If you are happy with your brass black coverage, it's time to grab a little bit of superfine steel wool. Using the steel wool, you will want to gently rub over the face of the coin. Remember, the harder that you press, the deeper the wool will dig into the engraved areas, removing the brass black from the deeper areas of the coin. By doing a bunch of softer passes, you can remove the darkness on the topmost part of the coin while retaining the deeper, darker antique colors beneath. Now that you've rubbed off all the excess antiquing, this is what you should be left with. Notice how much more the depth in the coin pops. I really hope that you have found this tutorial informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. And don't forget to check out xTool's AImake and maybe create a custom coin file of your own.